One of the best parts of being a Hall of Famer is that once you're in for life. I believe we have a number of previous Lethbridge Sport Hall of Fame inductees with us tonight. And if you're here, if you could stand up so we could recognize you. Stand up.
All right, and so Feature Productions is filming the entire induction ceremony tonight, and it will be uploaded onto YouTube early next week. As well, there will be a link on the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame Facebook page and website for you to check it out and share with family and friends who couldn't be here tonight.
The Lethbridge Sport Hall of Fame was founded in 1985 as a city centennial project. The Hall of Fame display was traditionally mobile, but now we have a permanent home for the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame, and it is located on both floors of the ATB Center on the city's west side, and we encourage you all to go check it out.
The Lethbridge Sport Hall of Fame would like to recognize its platinum sponsors and longtime supporters. The Lethbridge Kinsmen, Lethbridge College, Avail Chartered Accountants, University of Lethbridge, Lethbridge Sport Council, Lethbridge Koyotakan Judo Club, Canadian Western Bank Lounge, and Mac Center, and Feature Productions.
We'd like to thank the many, yes, let's give them a round of applause. We'd like to thank the many community sponsors for tonight's evening. You can find them all in your program on your tables there. Also within the program, you will find other great information, including amazing write-ups about the history of the Hall of Fame and the history of speed skating in Lethbridge.
So tonight we're going to do things a little bit different because we know you're all here to see the inductees and celebrate them and all of their success. So we're going to have a fun and informative question and answer panel with our inductees, and Paul Kingsmith will be leading that panel. So we invite the inductees and Paul to come up and get us started with that.
Yeah.
No, I'm getting as far away from you. I'm coming for you, coming. I'll kind of have to trade microphones back up and down the lineup. There we go. This is to warm us up. Hello? There we go. Well, hello again, everyone. This is your first chance to be introduced to all of our inductees who are here with us tonight. So I will first introduce from my left, your right. We have builder inductee from the soccer world, Randy Bardock. Athlete inductee from boxing, Carmen Ranke. Representing the Cooney family in speed skating, we have Nicole Cooney. And from kickboxing, athlete inductee, Brad Wall. So first, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. Congratulations to all of you. We just wanted to try something new this year. We haven't done this in the past where we bring you up, fire some questions. So I guess first, Randy, you're right beside me. You're the one I've known the longest out of this group, so I'll start with you. You've had a long career in soccer. You got involved at an early age of being a builder and a coach. What is it that is most fulfilling about being involved for as long as you have seeing young athletes grow up, develop, they become coaches and themselves, you coach second generations. What is the fulfilling part of getting involved in sports at this level?
Well, I think it kind of ties into what you mentioned. You get these wide-eyed 17, 18-year-olds that come to campus, and to see them evolve over their 5 years that they play with the program is truly amazing. But then as they leave the program and they come back and they want to be involved in different ways, getting to see how they further evolve, and now seeing them where now some of them are coaching their own kids, and it's kind of come around full circle. And I kind of laugh because sometimes I hear them saying things that I had repeated to them throughout the journey, kind of thing. So I think that's the biggest plus of coaching, is seeing the things go around full circle where they're giving back to the game that gave them so much.
That's great. I'm going to make you pass it down to Nicole there and ask you the same, that, you know, your family, when you moved here, you really helped reinvigorate the speed skating club and bring it back and raise it to prominence. For you, it was, you know, your own kids were a key part of that, who were first athletes, and then they evolved as coaches. What is the fulfilling part of that, of seeing that generational carry on, where the club that you were helping to build and help to get up and going, seeing that now being sustained? What's the fulfilling part of that for you?
At least one of the things that's exciting about our sport, and probably is very similar in a lot of sports, is that speed skating is very much a family-oriented sport, because you can have different groups on the ice at the same time. We have these opportunities to have entire families go to competitions. So we have this family mentality, and it's often the sort of like that structure we build right in within the club. And so we're often recruiting from our skaters, and I know we do it in many of our sports, to take on coaching and officiating roles as well. So watching my kids, sometimes they got voluntold I worked with the littles, and so I often had extra skaters, coaches assisting, and then to have them continue on. So right now our son Paul is the head coach of the club, and so it's pretty cool, because once he took over as head coach, then we were allowed to step back and just let the next generation take over.
That's great. Maybe I'll ask Carmen this one then. It's, you know, as you were on the athlete side then, as a young athlete, as you were getting involved in the boxing world, you were out in the Lundbreck area, you did some training in Lethbridge. What do you remember about those clubs in the early days? What was it, that the kind of structure that was put in place that allowed you to want to continue and build the skills that allowed you to continue? What was the basis that those clubs gave to you?
Well, boxing out of Lethbridge, I traveled 2 times a week down here, and I guess it was the love of the sport, and just the people you meet, the coaches and trainers. If they're the right people, you carry on doing it, and I met the right people. Yeah.
That's great. And Brad, you growing up as a young man in this community, you were generational, where you came from. You know, your mom was very involved in the sports world. You were raised in this community and got involved in a variety of sports. What do you remember about those early days, and what eventually pushed you in the direction of, you know, the kickboxing, the Muay Thai being your passion, and what was it that kind of ultimately tipped it in that direction for you?
Ultimately, getting tipped in that direction for myself was just actually I got into kickboxing itself because I wanted to get in shape for college basketball, and so yeah, next thing I found my true passion.
That's great. Do you remember then the first time as you start going, or do you remember your first meet or first thing that took you out of this province, where you were really representing Lethbridge and moving on to a bigger stage? And do you have any memories of some of those early times where you were starting to branch out from the bases you'd built in town here?
I never really looked at those early times like through that kind of like scope. I was just proud to just be along for the ride. And looking back now, it was a pretty amazing experience.
That's great. Maybe I'll ask, I'll make you pass the microphone all the way down. This is like a relay race. See how fast you can get it down here. Randy, you've coached outside this community, represented Lethbridge outside. What is it about, obviously in this community there's a very strong sports foundation. As you start representing Lethbridge and going outside of the city, is there a certain pride that comes with that when you're carrying the Lethbridge colors, and whether it's in the Canada West Conference or as you're coaching and going international and doing some things that way? Is there something about this community that you carry with you?
Well, I think there's always a huge sense of pride, and you really realize how small the sporting world is, because when I was in Kazan coaching, Jim Stacy was there, and one of the Beckering boys from Tabor was there. So, hate to say it, we got together over greasy fried chicken because that was the only thing we could find to eat at that time. But just connecting and talking about representing Southern Alberta and really doing all we could to emphasize that and to be proud of that. So it's just an amazing experience, but you realize how small the world is.
And Nicole, it's as you came to this community, for those that aren't familiar with the story, when you came to the community, you and Tim and your children, the speed skating club was very small. There was only a handful of participants, and you were able to inject some life into it and start building it back up into the club that we know today. Was there a turning point or a point as you were building the club where you were able to kind of step back and be like, whoa, we've done something here? We've kind of surpassed what we came to do, because now this club has sent skaters on to the provincial and national levels. But were there turning points or moments that you look back on where you're like, we really accomplished something there?
I would say an important turning point for our club was the year we got Canada West. And we had applied for Canada West. So we had done 2 provincial competitions. And even when we did our first provincial competition, it had been the first one in many years. And it was a very exciting, we did it at Nicholas Sharon. It was in the spring, but it was really nice out, and all the kids from up north were shocked that they could go outside in their shorts, and they were running around behind the grass playing. So we had that first competition, that was huge. And then 2 years later, we got awarded Canada West. And we had done this thing where we thought we would apply for it, figured we'd get rejected, and then we would apply again the next year when we'd actually be ready. But unbeknownst to us, we actually got it, and so we had to put this committee together. And it was really exciting to host like the best youth Western skaters from across Western Canada, really showcase our town. And we had Gilmore Junio from the Olympics. He came down as our keynote speaker for all the kids, and it was like I would say that would be like a real pinnacle moment for us.
That's wonderful. I remember that night. That was great. Carmen, you went on from here, and for those that don't know, Carmen ended up in the Olympics in Montreal. So I guess first, do you remember the moment or the meet where you qualified for the Olympics and what your reaction was at that point?
No.
All right, next question.
I remember watching this 72 Olympics, and Dale Anderson from Rocky Mountain House was boxing, and I said, oh, I want to do that. But when the time came closer and the training became harder, and it just took a lot of work. And actually, at the Olympics, I was they were the coaches that were coaching the national team. They were ready to send me home until my personal coach from Lundbrick came down and worked it out. Yeah, it was a tough go.
And so when you finally got the chance that you're a Canadian in Canada, in the host country at the Olympics, when you finally did overcome those obstacles, get in the ring, what was that experience like for you?
Pride, a lot of pride there. I was proud to be Canadian. I remember that when they announced me being a Canadian, goosebumps all the way through. It was good.
I bet. That's amazing. And Brad, similarly, you had experiences where a lot of your fighting took place overseas. You were in Asia, and what was that experience like for you then to represent Canada and wear a Canadian flag when you were competing?
It was an amazing experience to represent Canada, and I still take that with a lot of pride. I just think of when I would be training in a place like Thailand. I remember one of my experiences. One morning I woke up and there was a little boy crying outside, and his parents were crying as well. And I kind of asked my coach after, well, why is that boy crying? And he was a 8 or 9 year old boy. And I realized how good we have it here in Canada. And see this boy, his parents couldn't afford him anymore. So he had gone to live as a Thai boxer at the gym I was staying at. And yeah, they were going to pay for everything, and he would fight as a prize fighter. And I realized then and there that I was there basically on holidays, like a vacation. And then I realized how good I have it in Canada. So that was also really important to represent myself as a good Canadian citizen. And yeah, I learned a lot from that.
That's great. Actually, I'll ask you a follow-up then on that. Is you've come back to this community, you've become a coach. You've same thing. You've sent athletes on who have competed at the highest levels. Those lessons that you learned in that way, how do you go about instilling that in young athletes?
Just how grateful I am to be able to do what I love and to share my passion with others, and how blessed we are here living in Canada, and how good we have it compared to a lot of other countries.
That's great. Nicole, as people might look to get involved in sports, I think that the big thing to take away from your story and your family's story is that, getting involved is that first step, and stepping up to do something. What advice would you give to someone who maybe wants to, is thinking about getting involved in the sports world, isn't sure about time commitments and, what difference can I actually make? What was it that you take away from what your family was able to do in terms of getting involved? What advice would you give to someone who just sort of wants to get involved but isn't really sure how?
I'd say the first thing is, just talking with the people around you. I'm trying different roles. My role is more in the world of officiating right now. And one of the things I often do when I'm running clinics is don't limit yourself to just one thing, but just try different things until you find the thing that you're passionate for. I also recognize, as a former meet coordinator, that different people have the capacity for different time commitments. And so I would remember early on, someone might not have the ability to take on a board position, maybe because they have too many other commitments, but you can always find some way to contribute. And as a leader in sport, I'm willing to accommodate that. If you can just give me one day a year, or you can give me one day a month or one day a week, whatever works within your time schedule, we will embrace whatever you can give and celebrate you and welcome you into our sporting family.
That's great. Randy, as you've coached through the years, and we see, tables full of your alumni represented here, are there things in your approach as a coach, or the way that you approach sports in general, that changed through the years? Are there ways that you approach athletes, or even the satisfaction that you get from being a coach? Has that grown, changed, developed through the years as you've continued to be involved in the sport?
Well, I've always tried to be a lifelong learner, but I think really my strength as a coach, I think, is trying to get to know the players and trying to connect with them and finding out what makes them tick. Everybody's different. Everybody has unique styles that they need to be pushed one way or another to be successful. And I think you have to get to know the person before you can coach the person. So I've always strived to do that, and I'll always continue to do that, because I think that's the key to coaching. If you do that, they'll run miles for you. They'll go through a wall for you. And, you know, all these guys did that more than I can believe.
Carmen, if you were, as you look back on all that you accomplished, and if you were to walk into, say, Rick's Boxing Club here in Lethbridge tomorrow, and there was a young boxer that said, "What's one thing you can tell me that would make it easier for me as I move along this road?" What would you say to that?
I don't know. Just because you're a good boxer doesn't mean you're a good coach. With any one who enjoys it to the point of working hard at it, is just dedication and determination, and work hard and do your best, and I guess, yeah.
That's great. That's all it takes. That's awesome. All right, let's. I'm going to throw this out to the whole crowd here. Who has a story of something funny or unusual that happened to them in their journey along the way? Who has something good that they want to share right now? I know there are a few.
So the possibilities are pretty much limitless here.
The chuckles from the table are giving it away.
I could pick on one assistant coach who managed to get lost in every city we went to somehow. But I would say we had one road trip. Of course, it was late October. We had to go to Edmonton and Saskatoon. Lovely weather at that time of the year. And our backup goalie forgot the uniforms not once, but twice. So we had to get the bus driver to go back and get them for the Saturday game. And then he happened to leave the set we needed for Sunday at the hotel in Edmonton. We're in Saskatoon. So there we are wearing our sweaty, soaked uniforms from Saturday on a lovely day in Saskatoon that I believe was -20. And that was probably one of the quickest warm-ups I've ever seen in the history of our program. So it was by necessity more than anything.
You try to run things the right way, and that's what happens. So I think just as, we don't want to take too much away, as we still know your speeches are coming up tonight. And so without giving away maybe some of what you're going to say there, I just want to kind of send it down the line and kind of ask for what is one memory or one key takeaway that each of you take from your careers or would like to pass on here tonight. And Carmen, mic's in your hand. Why don't we start with you?
I really, as an amateur boxer, it sounds great and everything, but it's a lot of hard work. And if you, I don't know, like I say, it's easier for me to do things with gloves on than it is with a mic in my hand.
That is great.
What I was thinking, and my husband Tim's going to do the thank you speech later on, but I do want to give a shout out to the Sport Council and Susan Amon. I know we're being recognized here, but a lot of the support from the Sport Council was huge for us. From everything from helping us put in bids for national level competitions to really advocating for our sport with the city when the twin arenas were being built. Every step of the way, I really felt that the Sport Council really supported our sport as a lesser known sport, but really treated us like an equal among the bigger, more well-known sports. So a really huge thank you to the Lethbridge Sport Council.
What was the question again?
What is one key memory or key takeaway that you take from your career in sports, Brad?
I think the key memory is just memories themselves. There's just too many amazing experiences that to just say one is just that's very difficult. So just basically enjoying the ride and enjoying the experiences that I've been able to be a part of.
That's great. And we'll pass it down. Wait, first, boxing versus kickboxing. Which sport is tougher? Boxing versus kickboxing. How do these sports compare? Both super tough in their own way, Brad says.
I was probably the first boxer to learn how to kickbox. My very first fight in Cranbrook, the guy came out of the ring and I bent over sideways and kicked him in the stomach. The referee said, "Oh no, none of this stuff."
I like that. Innovating.
Yeah, I'm intimidating.
And Randy, last word to you. What's something that you, a memory you take away or something that you've learned from your career in sports and in soccer?
I would say it's tough to pick out one thing, and I really don't like picking out one thing. But one of our core values was always family. And it's real easy to stick together when things are going well. We had a time in our program where we had a player, former player, assistant coach who developed cancer. And it was amazing to see the family rally around the Marcus's family and what they did for Marcus, what they did for the family, and what they're still doing for them. It was truly incredible.
Yeah, I remember that well. And the program, the alumni, and the players at that time, yourself included, deserve a lot of credit for everything you did for Marcus. So I think that's a great summation. Great summation of the value of sport and what it means and how it transcends what goes on the field and in the ring and on the ice. So I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you for taking part in this. We're only going to make you each talk one more time after this. So this part is off the hook. Thank you again for being here. We look forward to hearing more from you, each of you momentarily. Thank you. That's all we strive for.
I just want to throw this out there too, that Randy is also a very good teacher. He taught two out of three of my kids, and they still talk about him and what a great teacher he was. So, all right. Now it's time for tonight's induction ceremony. So presenting our awards this evening is Paul Kingsmith, Lethbridge Sport Hall of Fame Chair.
All right, so let's get this started. Our first inductee this evening is in the special category, and I'd like to congratulate Judge John A. Jackson. Judge John Ainsley Jackson, 1875 to 1951, was a district court judge in Lethbridge for 32 years until his retirement in 1945. He was deeply involved in amateur sports locally, provincially, and nationally during the early 1900s, notably as a founding member of the Alberta Football Association in 1907 and later its president. Jackson served as president of the Amateur Athletic Union of Canada from 1921 to 1925, influencing national sport policy and administration. He led the Canadian team at the 1936 Berlin Olympics and previously attended the Olympics in Paris 1924 and Los Angeles 1932. Jackson believed Canadian sprinter Percy Williams could have challenged Jesse Owens for gold in 1936. And beyond his national roles, Jackson remained active in Lethbridge sports, notably serving as president of the Lethbridge Rugby Association in 1930 and being involved in the opening of the Lethbridge County Club or Country Club in 1932. Jackson's funeral in 1951 highlighted his lasting legacy in both law and athletics, and he is buried in Mountain View Cemetery. So please welcome 2024 Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame inductee in the Builder category, Judge John Jackson, and accepting on his behalf, Dr. Rob Kasuth.
I gotta hand it off. Yeah. Do you have to hand it off? I do have to hand it off. Is it embarrassing? Yeah. No, I'm not Judge Jackson, obviously. He died in 1951. But we do have some similarities, although separated by many, many, many years. I'm also from out east, Ontario. I also made my way out to Lethbridge like Judge Jackson did as a professional who was looking to move on with their life. He became a judge. I'm working down at the university. So this is not an uncommon story. Again, most of the people who were arriving in Lethbridge at that time were people who were migrating. Many of them migrated from the east to the west. Anyway, it is my honor to speak about this award on behalf of Judge John A. Jackson. Credit for this nomination needs to go to Belinda Croson, our counselor and stalwart in the Lethbridge Historical Society, who passed on this name to then Susan Iman, Executive Director of the Lethbridge Sports Council, who then moved it on to me. And so I was sitting here thinking, what do I do? We don't know a lot about this person. There's some information in there. And so I started doing some digging and found quite a rich history, as you heard Keegan provide in just a few minutes ago. Why is it important to honor people such as Judge Jackson? Again, Paul mentioned this at the start. He was missed. And this happens all the time. Tracy and I, we're at the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame, and we have a committee set up that's trying to capture people who have been missed. How was he missed? Well, the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame was established in 1985. That's almost 40 years ago. Big one coming up, Toby, in a year or two. I think it's going to be a big one. And that Judge Jackson died in 1951, but his real time as a sports person in the city is actually in the 1920s, 1930s. And so people who are selecting for the in 1985, the first group that was inducted into the Lethbridge Hall of Fame, would have lost him in their memory. He was just a bit too far back. And this, of course, he's not the only person that we've inducted into the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame this late. A number of years ago, I put in for another individual, Harry Bentley. Anyone know who Harry Bentley is? Yeah. Susan's nodding her head. He was one of the first mayors of Lethbridge, and he was involved in starting up all kinds of different sports clubs. But you'd only find that if you start digging through the archives and the old newspapers and those sorts of things. So somehow people do get overlooked, and as a historical institution, the Lethbridge Hall of Fame has a duty to capture and make sure that these people are honored. So I'm going to speak a little bit about Judge Jackson, the man, the person living in Lethbridge, before I talk a little bit about his sporting activities, because you've got that in the manual there in the book. Again, he was born in 1975. He was a graduate of the University of Toronto. He worked as a lawyer for several years in a small town called Blythe, Ontario, and then he headed west to practice in Ponoka, Alberta, for a number of years. In 1913, he got a job in Lethbridge as a judge, and he took the bench. So what kind of judge was Judge Jackson? Well, here's a little, it's actually not little, it's a little longer than I wanted, but I think it gives a feel for what kind of a person he was. And this was from the Lethbridge Herald in 1945, the year he retired from the bench. And I quote, "When Judge came down to southern Alberta as a judge, the country was passing through a critical period. Drought had made a serious inroads to farmers' resources, and the situation was desperate." Again, sounds familiar, right? But this is before there was crop insurance and these sorts of things. The new judge saw the problem at once. If wholesale foreclosures were allowed, the whole country would be cleaned out, and the farmers left stranded and ruined. He did something that makes him proud today. He went to the mortgage companies and he went to the farmers in the hope of giving the settlers a break. Each case was weighed on the merits, 3 questions being applied to each farmer. Was he honest? Was he industrious? And had he the ability to carry on farming business? It worked out in many, many cases, keeping worthy men on the land and satisfying the loan companies. Later came the farm debt legislation, but years before it in Lethbridge, the judge showed the necessary quality of mercy and wisdom to meet a grave emergency. So even writing, I think it was 1914, just before the First World War, when there was a bad drought, and he helped a lot of these farmers survive. As I said, he was also one of the founding members of the Lethbridge Historical Society, and was a member of the committee that worked diligently to celebrate the history of the coal mining in Lethbridge in the 1920s. He oversaw the building of a monument that was erected in Galt Gardens, celebrating the Sharon mine and the early coal miners in 1928. He was also involved in other activities. He was president of the Red Cross Society for a number of years. Again, he was also active in the Canadian Club. He was a Mason. He served as the Masonic Grandmaster in 1914-15. He was also involved in amateur sport. Now, we hear of amateur sport, and some people will know what I'm talking about, and other people would be thinking, well, what's the difference between amateur and what other sport is there? Well, in the time of Judge Jackson, amateur sport was really about sport being kept to people mainly in the middle classes. Workers weren't allowed necessarily to participate because they were laborers. And if you were a laborer, you worked with your body. And if you worked with your body, then you had an advantage when it came to sports. So it was not so much about whether you got paid or not necessarily. It was very much a class-based situation. As an athlete, the first sport that he played was football. He played at the University of Toronto, and his nickname was Stoney or Stonewall. Stonewall Jackson. Some of you will get that. He was involved not only in football, but again, a bunch of other sports: soccer, rugby, hockey, baseball, tennis, golf, and more. Now, I talk about football in the 1920s and 30s, and what we're really talking about is rugby, but it wasn't rugby the way that we play rugby today. It was called the Canadian Rugby Union, but it was the Argos and the Calgary teams before the there was a number of teams before the Stampeders came along. Canadian football doesn't actually become Canadian football until the 1950s, when the Canadian Football Council is formed, or the Canadian Football League was formed in 1958. So he was a rugby player, and I like to keep thinking that's another similarity that we had. Locally, as an older adult, Jackson seems to be most involved in golf, as many people do in their later years. He was the keynote speaker at the opening of the Lethbridge Country Club in 1932. Again, he had a long involvement in the sport as a player and administrator. Again, I think the reason, though, that he's unique in terms of someone being inducted into the Hall of Fame was the work that he did outside of Lethbridge, nationally and internationally. Again, president of the Amateur Athletic Union of Canada. What does that mean? Well, the Amateur Athletic Union of Canada was essentially like Sport Canada in the first part of the 20th century. And he was president of this for 4 years. And as a high-ranking official, that meant that he was then involved with the Olympic teams that went over to participate. 1932 would have been Los Angeles. 1924, I believe, was in Antwerp. And 1936, of course, he was involved as the lead person in the Canadian contingent that went to Berlin. He even commented of sitting in one of the boxes in Berlin and looking over and seeing Hitler clapping. And so that must have been quite the experience to be sitting at those games. Again, as the head of the AAUFC, the Amateur Athletic Union of Canada, that would be comparable today to, say, for being example, the president of the Canadian Olympic Committee. So here's someone from Lethbridge who's working as a judge full-time, spending lots of hours as a volunteer, most likely, because he's not being paid because it's amateur sport. And he is putting in lots of time, and he is doing important work, and he is working at the highest level of sport at the time. Again, he passed away in 1951 and is buried in Mountain View Cemetery. When I was putting the nomination package together a number of years ago, it asked, what is his address? Of course, when you've been passed away since 1951, you don't really have an address. So I figured, well, Mountain View Cemetery, it would be. Anyway, thank you very much.
Okay. So our next inductee being inducted into the builder category is the Cooney family. So the Lethbridge Speed Skating Association, the LSSA, celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2023, largely due to the significant contributions to the Cooney family. Tim and Nicole Cooney, along with their children, played a very pivotal role in revitalizing the club after their arrival in Lethbridge in 2002. Tim's background in high-performance skating and coaching, coupled with Nicole's administrative skills, helped double the club's membership upon their joining. Tim served as head coach for nearly 20 years, developing a highly regarded Learn to Speed Skate program recognized by Speed Skate Canada. Nicole became a Level 3 competitor steward and held various board roles in the LSSA and an Alberta Amateur Speed Skating Association. Nicole's mentoring efforts led to the certification of numerous officials within LSSA and benefited clubs across Western Canada. All 4 Cooney children were active participants in the club, with 3 competing regionally and provincially and 2 achieving national level success. 3 of the Cooney children also served as coaches for the LSSA, and with Paul currently serving as the club head coach. Although their dedication and volunteerism, the Cooney family played a vital role in guiding LSSA through 2 decades of growth and success. So please welcome 2024 Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame inductee in the builder category, the Cooney family.
Oh, got it.
That's deeper. Congratulations. Do you want me to hang on to that? I'll hand it back to you. Okay.
I brought the program up with me just to remind myself how amazing this is to be honored this way. I want to congratulate all the inductees, and also just congratulate my own family members here as well. And I'd also like to thank the Lethbridge Speed Skating Association for nominating us, and also to the Lethbridge Hall of Fame for this great honor. So our background was I started speed skating when I was 4 years old in the Regina Speed Skating Club. So for me, that was like a lesson in how a club would grow, because the club had just started maybe the year before that. And years later, we moved to Kelowna, my wife and I, and we helped start a club in Kelowna, and that was where we learned, club building. So when I came to Lethbridge, I kind of made a quick assessment of the club. We only had 2 hours a week of skating time. So that meant like 5-year-olds had to skate with like 17, 18-year-olds on the same session. Kind of looked at what the club had for resources. They had about 3 pairs of speed skates to rent to members, and they had about $10,000 in the bank. And I just quickly said, they're cash rich and skate poor. So, we said about just, it took time, like there was many things that had to change over time, but one of the big things was restoring the club's society status. So we basically had to reconstitute the club. Nicole and I both look to expand, like for my coaching philosophy is the more the merrier. So we often had 10 and 12 coaches working with the club. If you look at page 18 I think it's page 18, there's a club picture there. Just one of the many club pictures of just different kids that flowed through the club. We had that particular season, there was probably about 4 or 5 kids that came on the ice that actually couldn't skate, couldn't stand. So we had about 10 or 12 coaches. So I had to assign a coach to take each of those skaters by the hand and work with them. So it's just the way that the club was just at that time. I think it does take a village to raise kids, but it also takes a village to produce and raise and help athletes, and also officials that need to come from that, and coaches. And our club definitely had the aspects of the village that was willing to help. So I'd also like to just acknowledge Tarek Edelman's president of the club at this time, who's nicely come out tonight to support us, and Shreese Eves, who's currently on the director of one of the directors for Speed Skating Alberta. So I'd like to thank you guys for coming out. And just final thing is just about my personal philosophy was always looking at really seeing what the self-esteem of the athlete was, and really trying to build that and assess that right away, and make programs that supported self-esteem and building confidence. So again, just thank you again for this honor of being inducted as a family. Thank you.
All right, our next inductee this evening is in the athlete category, Carmen Rinke. When Carmen Rinke first strapped on a pair of boxing gloves, he likely couldn't have imagined the sport would eventually take him to the Olympic Games and to international events in Germany, Mexico, and New Zealand. Hailing from the small community of Lethbridge in the foothills of southern Alberta, Rinke boxed from 1966 to 1982, earning 5 Canadian championships along the way. He was regarded as a power puncher who also had the ability to box a strategic bout when needed. He captured his first provincial championship in 1971 while training with the Lethbridge Boxing Club under coach Tony Bugoski. Another Alberta title, along with an Edmonton Golden Gloves championship, followed in 1972. In 1973, Rinke claimed his first Canadian amateur crown in the 147-pound welterweight division, and in September of that year, he traveled to Berlin, West Germany, for his first international competition. That experience paved the way for an even bigger event in 1974 when he was selected to fight in the British Commonwealth Games in Christchurch, New Zealand. He won his first round bout on points before losing on points in his quarterfinal match. In 1975, Rinke no longer had to make the drive to Lethbridge to train. The Lethbridge Boxing Club was in operation under the guidance of coach Joe Ellison, a former Golden Gloves champion from Vancouver. Training with Ellison, Rinke claimed another Canadian title in the welterweight class just 2 weeks after his marriage to Nancy Jensen. At the 1975 Canadian Championships, he knocked out Eastern champion Bernie Guidon of Toronto, who had won a bronze for Canada at the 1971 Pan American Games, midway through the first round. In the final, Rinke defeated defending welterweight champion Leo Peltier of New Brunswick, who earlier in the year had been touted by CTV commentators as Canada's next Olympic hopeful. That October, Rinke competed in the Pan American Games in Mexico City, where he won his preliminary bout before losing in the quarterfinals. The high point of his boxing career came in the summer of 1976 when he participated in the Olympic Games in Montreal. There he defeated Yoshioki Seki of Japan before losing on points to eventual gold medalist Josen Bachfeld from East Germany. Canada's joining the boycott of the 1980s Summer Games in Moscow cost Rinke another chance to fight in the Olympics. He wrapped up his career in the ring 2 years later by winning the 1982 Senior Open title in Medicine Hat for his 5th Canadian Championship. Now, I know you're super eager to talk, but before we have you come up, Carmen, we have a special surprise for you. So we would like to welcome from the Lethbridge Boxing Club, Rick Duff.
Well, Carmen did so well in the international fight game and all that, but he also did some really good fighting in Lethbridge. This trophy that bears his name, 71, 72, and 73, was from the Chief of Police of Lethbridge for the most outstanding boxer in Lethbridge. And somehow it was in someone's basement for like 40 years or 35 years, and I want to give this to him on behalf of the club and give him a baseball hat and banner and t-shirt. Come on up, buddy. This is from the Chief of Police right there.
Yeah, I've heard about this
and
piece of
your
work.
name was on 71, 72, 73, and I'm thinking 74 too.
Probably.
Thanks, buddy. You did good.
Thanks,
you.
Rick.
And hat and banner and t-shirt. All yours.
But no money, huh?
Oh. I'm not made of money, man.
Okay. Thank you.
Love, that's all I'm made of. Thanks. Enjoy.
Thanks. You want to take that with you?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Here we go. Anyways. Love, dedication, and pride. Love the great interest and pleasure in something. Dedication, the willingness to give a lot of time and energy to something that is important. Pride, proud to be Canadian, Albertan, and especially Southern Albertan. I'd like to thank the many coaches and trainers that I've had throughout the years that I boxed. Harold Gansky from Blairmore, the great Tony Boguski of Lethbridge, who had more knowledge of the sport of boxing than I could ever absorb. Tony and Oscar Odney, the trainer and the manager of the Lethbridge Boxing Club. Tony and Oscar had trained me for the Commonwealth Games in Christchurch, New Zealand in '74. They loved the sport of boxing so much that it made the club one of the best to train out of. And also from Lethbridge, I'd like to thank a fellow boxer and sparring partner, Charlie Pronga. Charlie always said that he used me to better himself, but really he was bettering me. And after 3 or 4 years of traveling to Lethbridge 2 times a week, a guy from Lethbridge said that he had started a boxing club. His name was Joe Ellison, and he did things right. He had over 30 boxers from the surrounding area, and he coached me and trained me for the 75 Pan American Games and the Montreal Olympics in '76. Joe put a lot of time and effort and money into the sport of boxing. I sincerely thank you, Joe. A few other people who I'd like to thank is Max Gibb and Stubby Ross for the special support that they gave me. And thanks to all the fans that gave me super support throughout the years that I boxed. And there's a few sports writers and sports announcers way back then, the likes of Gary Ellison, Randy Spencer, and Steve Falwell. Thanks, guys. Fast forward to '82. I was pretty well finished boxing, but because Medicine Hat was holding the Canadian Boxing Championships, I was asked by the Page brothers, Bill and Pat, to box for them. Really, it came down to Sean O'Sullivan was the Canadian amateur and world champion at the time, and the Page brothers said that he was the best boxer that Canada ever had. So I said, well, we'll see about that. So I went to Medicine Hat and tried my best. Had 3 or 4 fights before the finals, and O'Sullivan won his side of the draw, and I won my side, and I was scheduled to fight him. But in the championship, the coach that coached me in the Pan American Games, Gordon Taylor, who had coached me at the Pan American Games, pulled O'Sullivan out of the final, and so I never got to box him. But I was told by one of the competitors from Ontario, because that's where O'Sullivan was from, he had boxed him 5 different times and said you'd beat him easily. I came 5 times draw with him, and I stopped him in the second round, so who's to say what? Anyways, it's been a good go. And finally, thanks to the Canud, Paul, and the Board of Directors for inducting me into Sports Hall of Fame. I'm enormously grateful and honored for this truly special occasion, and proud to accept. Thank you.
Our next inductee into the 2024 Sports Hall of Fame in the Builder category is Randy Bardock. Randy Bardock's journey with the University of Lethbridge Pronghorns men's soccer team spans both player and coach roles, marking over 3 decades of dedication to the program. Amidst financial challenges in the 1990s that threatened the team's existence, Bardoc's unwavering commitment and strategic guidance not only preserved the Pronghorns, but elevated them to prominence within the competitive landscape of the Canada West Conference. His tenure as head coach from 1991 to 2002 saw significant milestones, notably leading the team to their inaugural playoff appearance in 2000, a feat recognized with the prestigious Canada West Co-Coach of the Year accolade. Bardoc's coaching prowess extended beyond university boundaries as he continuously sought to enhance his expertise, attaining a National B coaching license in 2000 and assuming coaching roles with provincial and national teams. Beyond his university duties, Bardoc's impact reverberated throughout the Lethbridge soccer community. From steering teams like the Lethbridge Pronghorns and Cosmos in the Alberta Major Soccer League to earning the Coach of the Year title in 1988. His contributions were instrumental in shaping local soccer culture, and Bardoc's influence transcended borders as he served as a scout for the Sheffield United Soccer Club and contributed to Alberta Soccer and Whitecaps Academy, where his leadership earned him the prestigious Alberta Soccer Association Leadership in Coaching Award in 2018. So congratulations and welcome 2024 Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame inductee in the Builder category, Randy Bardock.
First of all, congratulations to my fellow inductees and the other award winners for this evening. I'm sure the boys have a little wager going on when I might get emotional up here, so my hope is to kind of mess up with their bets a bit. But in all honesty, I feel extremely uncomfortable being up here, being recognized for this award. Okay, as I feel there are so many others that should be up here earning this recognition. My hope tonight is to share the spotlight on some of these people who are here. Okay, first and foremost is to the players who wore the jersey. They must be recognized. When the funding was completely cut to our program, it was the initial players and the groups that followed after that bought into this crazy idea of doing it on our own. Okay, let's do it and let's go were the responses. Although Brooksy did add a few colorful words to the phrase, but his enthusiasm was infectious and everybody bought in. Okay, the amazing thing is not once did these players complain about the hand that was dealt to them. Instead, they looked at it as an opportunity for themselves and for future student athletes. Okay? These early groups laid a foundation of core values that were continually emphasized by everyone. Okay? Hard work, honesty, loyalty, being grateful, being fearless, being selfless, and acting as a family. Okay? These values were showcased by the players, and they guided us in everything we did on and off the field. As time went on, these players became alumni and continued to share these values with the players and in the community. Okay. This men's soccer alumni group became one of the most engaged alumni groups in all of Canada West athletics. Okay. It wasn't about big money donations. It was about continuing to display these core values in all aspects of their lives and ensuring that the current players truly understood what it was like to be a member of this family. Okay? Whether it was E.T. donating his time to be the best game day announcer in Canada West, whether it was Moorsey hiring people to work in the back of his store, whether it was Kaner, Melks, so many others that wanted to pass on life lessons and the importance of wearing the jersey. Okay? Whether it was guys coming back and volunteering to serve as coaches in the program, whether it was doing our MK4. Other things, it was always amazing how when we played in Calgary and Edmonton, we had more fans than the home teams. And it was always our alumni that were out there loud and proud. Okay? These alumni continued to build on their legacy and pay it forward. They truly left their jerseys in a better place. I know I was never really able to properly thank you when we ran out of playing time, so I'm going to try. Thank you for making me a better coach and a better person. Thank you for making the journey so enjoyable and memorable. Thank you for the numerous impacts that you made on student athletes and with what you're doing in your communities now. Okay? You truly are champions and need to be recognized. The next group that needs to be recognized is what I call the quiet community. These were individuals that did so much for the program, often after hours, with no recognition. They strive to find ways to stretch the dollar that we raised. Sandy Slavin, who bought into this crazy idea of doing it on our own, something that had never been done before in university sport. Terry Innes, Heather Anderson, Shauna McClennan, each of you went above and beyond what was expected to ensure that this idea was possible. People like Dr. Gary Bowie, whose positivity and encouraging words always found a way to keep the ship moving forward, no matter how choppy the waters were. Thank you for making such a positive difference with so many. And now the community. When the funding was cut to our program, there were 5 businessmen that stepped up immediately. Rocco Soriano, Tony Rose. They were soccer people. Craig Andres, Eddie Vector, Mike Monahan. I think they knew there was a ball involved, but that was about their soccer knowledge. Okay. But these business people wanted to step in and support, and they supported for 30 years because they saw the values that these people here showed continually on the field and in the community. Okay? Without your initial and continued support, none of this would have been possible. Okay? You've made a difference in thousands of people's lives, and words can't express my gratitude to each of you. Over time, the engagement by the community was incredible, which allowed so many opportunities for our student athletes. There are so many that deserve recognition. I'm worried I will miss out. So I'm going to throw a little challenge out. If you supported the men's soccer program in some way, whether it was going to our golf tournament, coming to our dinner and auction, being part of our hockey loser pool, putting your kids in our kids camps, or you simply came to games, please stand up. That is why this is a WE award. That's why that is a WE award, and all of you need to be recognized. Lastly, there's 3 people who deserve the most credit and who should be up here. That's my wife, Deb, and my kids, Cody and Courtney. The patience, the encouragement, the courage you displayed dealing with the critics, being a mom and a friend to so many of these people, your continual support of myself the players, the alumni, understanding what it's like being a coach's wife and in a coach's family. All the blessings and all of the curses. Okay? You three are my rocks, and you're far more deserving of this award than myself. Lastly, as always, it's a great day to play. Go out there, have fun, and enjoy it. Thank you.
All right, our next inductee in the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame in the athlete category is Brad Wall. Brad Wall's journey in kickboxing began in 1997, evolving into a lifelong passion characterized by dedication to mastery, instruction, and promotion of the sport. Under the mentorship of coaches Junior Olson and Trevor Hardy, Wall transitioned into Muay Thai kickboxing after his first match in Thailand in 1999, making a pivotal moment in his career. He trained extensively in Thailand under renowned coach Santang Noi Sorungrot, becoming a certified Muay Thai instructor in 2000. Wall's competitive achievements, including winning the World Kickboxing Association Canadian Golden Gloves Middleweight Kickboxing Championship in 2001 and the IKF World Light Middleweight Muay Thai Kickboxing Championship in 2006. Throughout his career, Wall coached numerous kickboxing and mixed martial arts athletes, including world champions like Cody Jerome and Kate Clements. He returned to Lethbridge College in 2002 to teach kickboxing courses, simultaneously working with coach Ajarn Mike Miles. Wall's contributions to kickboxing and mixed martial arts extend beyond competition. He continues to coach and mentor athletes at his Progressive Fighting Academy in Lethbridge. Balancing family life with wife Lisa and children Macau and Cruz, Wall remains committed to his role as a coach and martial artist, recently achieving a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 2020. Congratulations and welcome 2024 Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame inductee in the athlete category, Brad Wall.
Hello. First of all, I want to thank my wife Lisa and my friends Dean Duff and Trevor Hardy and all those for the nomination. I'm blessed to share this experience with all of you here. Congratulations to all the inductees. What does Muay Thai and kickboxing mean to me? It has had a profound effect on my life and shaped who I am today. I learned to be successful at these sports through some major lessons, I would say, 7 actually. The first is belief. Sports teaches us to push ourselves to our physical and mental limits. If you want the most out of yourself and your abilities, you must believe in yourself. Your chances of success increase when someone believes in you. My parents taught my sister and I this. They took us to countless practices and games, often stepping in to coach when needed. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for believing in me. The second is passion. My wife has taught me this. She has passion with cooking every meal, when she plans the details of our trips, her full-time job at Disability Services, and the extra work she puts in at the gym. It shows with our children. The skip in my daughter's step when she tells me her school grades. The excitement my son has for the anticipation of his next school play. If you're going to do something, do it with passion. Third is action. In order to have success, you'll need to take action. My coach and friend, Junior Olson, taught me, some will talk the talk. It's more important to walk the walk. Be a man of action. Lead by example. The repetition and physical exertion will take countless days, weeks to train for each bout. To get through it, you'll need to endure the action. Thank you, Junior, for igniting my fire for kickboxing. Fourth is vision. From an early age, I dreamed that one day I would play in the NBA. After high school, that dream would fade away. I first joined kickboxing to get in shape for college basketball. I did in fact get into amazing shape. So good that I not only made the college basketball team, but I also made the college cross-country team. But after an average of 2 minutes of playing time a game and 2 years of college basketball, I realized it was apparent I was not going to enter the NBA draft anytime soon. Being lost at this point, I was unsure of my vision, who I was, so I went to live in Australia. I looked for a kickboxing gym. I discovered Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, something I'm still learning to this day. My good friends and coaches, Scott Ward and Trevor Hardy, still teach me new ways to move, to bend, and fold me like a pretzel. Thank you to you both. Still in search of a kickboxing gym, I stumbled across Muay Thai. It was like kickboxing with punches and kicks. It also had knees, elbows, and clinching or wrestling. It wasn't long after this venture that I would find myself going to train in Thailand for 3 weeks and take my first fight with a Thai boxer with 64 fights. Let's just say I learned a lot about fighting that day. I had a new vision. I was going to win my next fight. 5. From there, I learned about persistence. So after my first trip to Thailand, I went back to Thailand. This time, I'd go to live and train with professional fighters, to train at Tor Sanctinoy Gym. It was located on the outskirts of Bangkok. I wanted to train and compete with the best. Sanctinoy, my crew, was a former champion and future coach of the year. He watched me hit the heavy bag for a minute or two. He said, "You, left kick, no good. You go kick bag. Only left kick." So for the next 10 days, 6 hours a day, I did. On the 10th day, my friend and training partner and coach, Trevor, shows up. Said, "Hey, your left kick is looking really good. What have you been doing?" I said, "One day, I'll show you." We learned you had to be persistent. My coach was a legendary master of Muay Thai. He taught me to be my best Nok Muay. 6 was the preparation. We took lessons and techniques back home. My training partners, Ricardo Alas, and athletes Cody Jerome, Tom O'Connor, and Kate Clements, would carry their Muay Thai traditions that we were taught. When I was at home, I would drive twice a week to Calgary to train with my trainer, Mike Miles. He'd always test my fight preparation and taught me the true art of preparation. Win, lose, or draw, you always need to stay prepared for your next fight. 7, having goals. First, I just wanted to be a fighter, to be the best kickboxer I could be. One day, after a training session, my training partner said to me, "You could be a world champ." I said, "That sounds like a good goal." January 30th, 2010, I had my last fight. And I way to end my career with 49 fights, 2 world titles, a North American title, a Canadian title, and I represented Canada 3 times at the Worlds. It wasn't till February 14th, 2010, a few weeks later, after my last fight, I got the opportunity to spar with future UFC champion John Jones. We went for 3 5-minute rounds. I realized after this, I had reached my goal to become the best kickboxer I could be. It was time for new goals. I wanted to be the best martial arts coach I could be. I appreciate being able to share my experience with you all, my students, my friends, my family, my future students. Thank you for my Sports Hall of Fame induction.
Coming, Keeks? No? Okay. My cold meds are starting to wear off. I need to hurry up. Okay. Our next inductee this evening in the builder category, Michael Taramira. Mike Taramira's judo journey began in 1974 at the Lethbridge Judo Club, where he honed his skills under coach Yosh Senda. After a successful competitive career, including a Canadian junior title in 1984, Tamira embraced coaching and administrative roles, eventually becoming president of both the Lethbridge Judo Club and the University of Lethbridge Judo Club. He served as president of Judo Alberta from 1997 to 2003, and later held the position of vice president of Judo Canada from 2003 to 2012, eventually becoming president in 2012. Tamira played a pivotal role in establishing the first regional national training center in Western Canada in partnership with Judo Canada, Lethbridge Judo Club, and Judo Alberta in 2015. His influence extends internationally, holding positions within the International Judo Federation, the IJF, as a director in the Coordination Committee of Directors and serving as sport director for the IJF since 2021. Tamira's contributions to judo were recognized with the Queen Elizabeth Platinum Jubilee Medal Award in December of 2022 for his significant role in developing the sport in the province. Despite his extensive commitments, Tamira remains actively involved in coaching at the Lethbridge Judo Club, imparting his wealth of knowledge to the next generation of judokas. Please welcome 2024 Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame inductee in the builder category, Michael Taramira. But unfortunately, he is unable to attend this evening, and Dean Mikado apparently is going to come up and accept his award for him. So hands together for Michael Taramira, and welcome him up to you. Oh. Just kidding, we have a video.
And then you can come.
Hello everyone. Sorry I can't be with you tonight. I'm working the IJF Judo Grand Slam in Dushanbe, Tajikistan, one of the last qualifying events for the Paris Olympic Games. I hope everyone will enjoy this special event. First, I'd like to thank Paul and the Board of Directors for accepting my nomination into the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame. It's truly an honor. Thank you to my judo family for supporting my aspirations as President of Judo Canada, General Secretary of Pan American Judo, and as sport director for the International Judo Federation. I've been blessed to have a very loving family, a caring mother and father who taught me about the importance of hard work, a coach, or sensei as we say in judo, who taught me about having dreams of achieving greatness in a sport he was very passionate about. That person was Yoshio Senda, a true inspiration for anyone who had studied judo with him. Our journey together lasted for decades, as a student, an athlete, a coach, and then an administrator. He was an incredible mentor, the first person in Canada to earn a 9th degree black belt. I feel privileged to have known him for so long. Sports and judo have taught me many lifelong lessons. I've learned the importance of facing your fears and embracing them. I've learned that getting up from losing a match is just as important as winning one. That connection and interaction in sports is just as invaluable as a formal education. I've learned that my involvement in sports, particularly judo, has had a profound impact on who I am today. I truly love calling Lethbridge my home, and as Sensei would say, give back to the community and to the sport which you have received so much from. As a builder in my sport and in my community, I'm most proud of the successes of the Lethbridge Judo Club. Bringing the regional training center to Lethbridge and getting two-time world champion Cressida Deguchi representing the Lethbridge Judo Club on the world stage are by far my happiest moments for us at the dojo. In closing, I'd like to congratulate my fellow inductees. A special congratulations to Randy and Brad, whom I've known for many years, and it's a special honor to be inducted with them in the class of 2024. Thank you.
All right, Dean, you can come up now.
Moving along.
Yeah, one more. All right, next up is the annual Sportspersons of the Year Award. The Kinsman Club has sponsored this award since its inception in 1995.
These awards acknowledge individuals for the outstanding performance or participation in sports while representing Lethbridge. In 2007, these awards were adjusted to include both a female and a male recipient. And it has been great having Winter Colburn on our board as a Kinsman rep. However, Winter was unable to attend this evening, so I would like to take this opportunity to ask Norm Laflamme to come up to present the awards. Norm.
Okay, so our first recipient is our 2024 Kinsman Female Athletes of the Year, which is being shared by two teammates and friends, Casey Bosch and Paige Crozon. In a relatively new sport, at least in terms of international significance and opportunities, a Lethbridge-based duo have quickly made their mark as half of one of the world's best women's 3x3 basketball teams. Casey Bosch and Paige Crozon, along with teammates Michelle and Catherine Plouffe, made up the Canadian 3x3 team, which dominated the 2022 International Basketball Federation season. Bosch is a Lethbridge native who graduated from Chinook High School and played 2 seasons with the NCAA's Gonzaga University before returning to finish her post-secondary career with her hometown University of Lethbridge Pronghorns. Crozon is from Humboldt, Saskatchewan, and joined the Pronghorns women's basketball team as lead assistant coach in 2020, while also ingraining herself in the Lethbridge community. The 2022 season got off to a great start for the Canadians, who won the Canadian 3x3 Championship before earning a silver medal at the FIBA 3x3 World Cup. While the team had hoped for a World Cup gold medal, the strong result still helped springboard Crozon and Bosch and their teammates into the FIBA season, which was a storybook success that culminated with the Canadians sitting as the top-ranked team in the world. Casey and Paige's team won championships in 3 of the 5 FIBA Women's Series tournaments they competed in, and they were the only team to win 3 events and piled up a record of 25 wins and just 3 losses. The championship wins came from tournaments in Edmonton, Bucharest, and Montreal. Crozon was named MVP of the Montreal event after finishing 4th in the tournament with 26 points. The highlight of the season was the series finale in Constanta, Romania, where the Canadians earned the most prestigious prize on tour, beating France 21-16 in the final, avenging their World Cup loss from earlier in the season. Crozon had 23 points in the tournament, while Bosch added 11. With 3x3 basketball now an Olympic sport, Bosch, Crozon, and Team Canada have their sights set on the Paris 2024 Games, where they will certainly be among the favorites for a medal based on their incredible international results this season. So I am pleased to welcome the first 2024 Kinsman Sportsperson of the Year, co-recipients Casey Bosch and Paige Crozon. But unfortunately, they are in Japan competing at their Olympic qualifying tournament, so we would like to welcome Casey's mom, Angela Manderville, to accept the award on their behalf.
Hi, I'm Paige Crozon. And I'm Casey Bosch. And we're currently in Japan for our Olympic qualifying tournament. We want to say thank you to the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame for this award, and congratulations to all the other recipients tonight. We're disappointed that we can't be there, but we're so honored to be recognized. And thank you to the Lethbridge community for your continued support, and we're looking forward to representing you on the international stage. Love that. Spotlight. I wouldn't have to do this. She lied. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, all right. And now our final honoree of the evening and our 2024 Male Kingsman Sportsperson of the Year, Connor Cook. In 2023, Connor Cook made history as the first Southern Alberta player selected in the National Lacrosse League, the NLL, draft, chosen 49th overall by the Calgary Roughnecks. Cook's lacrosse journey began in the Lethbridge minor lacrosse system, where he honed his skills under the guidance of coaches Chris Kukucha and Darren Andre. As captain of the Calgary Junior A Mounties, Cook's leadership and defensive prowess earned his recognition as an NLL first-team All-Star selection in 2023. His talent caught the eye of Mounties coach Cody Hawkins during his time with Team Alberta, where he was named assistant captain and contributed to a national championship win in 2018. Cook's standout performances with the Junior A Mounties, including helping lead them to the Minto Cup final in 2022, showcased his potential to excel at the professional level. His coachability and natural talent were evident throughout his career, and as noted by his former minor lacrosse coach, Chris Kukacha, who praised Coach's ability to quickly grasp and execute on the field. Cook's selection in the NLL draft was a testament to his dedication, skill, and potential as a professional lacrosse player, setting the stage for an exciting future in the sport. So we've seen tonight, there's another incredible example of the power of sport. So the stories of our inductees and award winners are inspiring and worth remembering and sharing as we inspire the next generations who will one day join you in this hall. So please help us welcome the 2024 Male Kinsman Sportsperson of the Year, Connor Cook. Unfortunately, Connor was unable to attend this evening, but we would like to invite his dad, mom, both, his parents, Brad and Dolores Cook, to come up to accept on his behalf.
Hello, my name is Connor Cook. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there tonight as I have just gotten to New Westminster to play for my first season with the Salmon Bellies. I am incredibly honored and humbled to be receiving this award and just wanted to take a chance to say thank you. Thank you to the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you to the Lethbridge Lacrosse Association and Chris Kukucha. You guys showed me the ropes of the game 15 years ago, and I am beyond thankful. I'd also like to say thank you to Cody Hawkins of the Junior A Mounties. The past 5 years, you trusted me in a leadership role and let me play at the highest level possible, and I wouldn't be where I am today without you. And most importantly, I would definitely need to say thank you to my parents, Brad and Dolores. The time, money, and patience you guys have put into me and letting me chase my dream, it's amazing. And I just want you guys to know I love you so much and I'm incredibly thankful. Congratulations to all the Sports Hall of Fame inductees tonight, as well as my fellow female Kinsman Athletes of the Year. After reading everyone's biography, it's pretty cool and humbling to say I get to be tied in with you guys. So yes, congratulations, and everyone enjoy the night.
Okay, so on behalf of the Board of Directors, we would like to thank you all for supporting the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame by attending tonight. It is has been so great to be here with you all tonight and to share the special evening with you all and your inductees that you're here to celebrate.
Yeah, so the Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame Board has been looking forward to celebrating this induction class and all of your successes. We need nominees, so if you know of a deserving nominee that needs to be honored, please go to our lethbridgesportshalloffame.com to learn more about how to submit a nomination package.
And please go to our permanent site at ATB Center. You can see our banners will be displayed there, and it's really cool if you haven't gotten to see it, so go check it out.
All right, so that's it. That takes us to the end of our evening, but we want to thank you all for being here. Please get home safe. And once again, congratulations to our Lethbridge Sports Hall of Fame induction class of 2024.